stop for a moment and listen carefully, because there is something I want you to understand before you continue with the noise of your day. What I am bringing to your attention is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to prepare you. There is a difference between fear and preparation, and I want you to learn that difference because fear makes you freeze, but wisdom helps you move forward with clear eyes. You have been asking me for protection, asking me for direction, asking me to show you what you cannot see, and sometimes you have expected protection to look like a dramatic sign from heaven. But many times I protect you through something much quieter. I protect you by slowing your steps. I protect you by making you uncomfortable with what is not right. I protect you by giving you a hesitation before you make a decision. I protect you by allowing you to notice what you previously ignored. I protect you by making you stop and think when everything around you is telling you to hurry. My child, do not mistake that pause for weakness. Sometimes the pause is the protection you have been praying for. You have become accustomed to moving quickly because life has taught you that if you do not keep moving, something may fall apart. You have carried responsibilities, expectations, relationships, decisions, disappointments, and private worries that very few people know about. You learned how to keep functioning even when your heart was tired. You learned how to smile when your mind was full. You learned how to say that everything was fine because explaining the truth felt harder than carrying the pain. But I have seen beneath the surface. I have seen the moments when the room became quiet and your thoughts became loud. I have seen you replay conversations and wonder whether you made the right choice. I have seen you question someone's intentions while convincing yourself that you were probably imagining things. I have seen you ignore the quiet discomfort because you wanted something to work so badly. You wanted to believe the best, and there is nothing wrong with having a loving heart, but I am teaching you that love does not require you to abandon wisdom. Pay attention to patterns. Do not judge everything by one conversation, one promise, one apology, or one beautiful moment. Watch what people repeatedly do. Words can be impressive, but character is revealed through consistency. Someone can tell you that they care while repeatedly disturbing your peace. Someone can promise to change while continuing the same behavior. Someone can speak kindly while quietly taking advantage of your willingness to forgive. I am not telling you to become suspicious of everyone. I am telling you to become awake. There is a difference. Suspicion assumes evil without evidence. Wisdom observes reality without pretending it does not exist. You do not have to confront every person who disappoints you. You do not have to explain every boundary. You do not have to prove why you need distance. Sometimes the healthiest response is simply to stop giving access to what has repeatedly wounded you. Protecting your peace is not hatred. Creating a boundary is not cruelty. Walking away from what continually destroys your stability is not failure. There are spaces where you have spent too much energy trying to convince people to value what I already placed inside you. You have adjusted yourself again and again to fit environments that were never designed to honor your growth. I am teaching you to stop measuring your worth by how comfortably other people receive you. Look again at the decision sitting in front of you. Perhaps it concerns work. Perhaps it concerns a relationship. Perhaps it concerns a habit you have carried for years. Perhaps it concerns a direction that looks attractive but does not give your heart settled peace. Do not rush simply because someone else wants an immediate answer. What is right does not become wrong merely because you take time to examine it. What is truly aligned with your purpose can withstand honest reflection. Give yourself permission to pause. Pray. Think. Observe. Ask what this choice will produce 6 months from now, 1 year from now, and beyond the temporary excitement of this moment. A decision should not be judged only by how good it feels today. Consider what kind of person that decision will help you become tomorrow. I want you to begin asking yourself a simple question whenever you face uncertainty. Is this leading me toward peace, truth, wisdom, and growth? Or is it pulling me toward confusion, fear, compromise, and exhaustion? You may not always receive an instant answer, But the question itself will change how you approach your life. You will begin noticing patterns. You will recognize where your energy is being drained. You will recognize which habits keep returning you to the same place. You will recognize that some of the doors you have been desperately trying to open were never meant to become permanent entrances. And when I close something, do not assume I have abandoned you. Sometimes a closed door is an answer you did not know how to ask for. Sometimes delay is protection. Sometimes silence gives you time to become strong enough for what you are asking to receive. Sometimes I remove an opportunity because I know what you cannot yet see beyond it. You may call it disappointment today, but later you may call it mercy. I want you to stop interpreting every delay as rejection. You have spent too much time believing that if something does not happen quickly, you have somehow been forgotten. No, I have not forgotten you. Your life has not escaped my attention. Your prayers have not disappeared. Your tears have not been wasted. Even when you could not recognize what I was doing, I was still present. So tonight, do not carry fear into tomorrow. Carry awareness. Do not wake up expecting disaster. Wake up ready to make wiser choices. Look at your relationships honestly. Look at your habits honestly. Look at the way you spend your time. Look at what repeatedly steals your peace. Look at what strengthens your faith and what weakens it. You do not need to change your entire life in one night. Start with one honest decision. Start with one boundary. Start with one habit. Start with one moment where you choose reflection instead of impulse. If these words are helping you recognize something you need to change, do not simply listen and move on. Take one practical step tonight. Write down the decision you have been avoiding. Write down the relationship that continually drains you. Write down the habit you know you need to confront. Then bring it before me honestly. You do not need impressive words. Bring me your real heart. And if you agree that wisdom is better than fear, and that you are ready to walk with greater awareness, type yes in the comments as your declaration that you will not ignore the lessons this season is teaching you. Before you leave, like this message, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs encouragement today. And if you feel happy with my words and this message has brought value, you can support my ministry by the link given below. Stay until the end of this message, because there is more I want to place inside your heart, and some of what you need most may be in the part you have not heard yet. There is something else I want you to understand. You have been trying to be strong for so long that sometimes you have forgotten what it feels like to simply be held. You have become skilled at carrying things silently. You have learned how to continue working while your heart is hurting. You have learned how to answer people while your mind is somewhere else. You have learned how to finish responsibilities even when you had no emotional strength left. But I have never measured your worth by how much pain you can tolerate. I saw you when you could not find the words to pray. I saw you when you opened your mouth and nothing came out. I saw you when you wanted to ask why, but were afraid that asking the question would make the pain feel more real. I saw the nights when you stared into the darkness, thinking about what happened, what could have happened, and what you wished had happened differently. I saw the tears that came when nobody was watching. I saw the moments when you wondered whether anyone truly understood you. I understood. You may have thought your silence created distance between us, but it did not. Your exhaustion did not offend me. Your hesitation did not make me turn away. You were tired. You were carrying more than people realized. Sometimes even listening felt like another responsibility because your mind was already full. I knew that. I knew what was underneath your silence. Do not punish yourself for seasons when you did not have the strength you wanted. There were moments when you believed you had failed because you could not respond perfectly. You thought you needed stronger faith, better prayers, greater confidence, and clearer answers before you could come to me. But I was never asking you to become perfect before approaching me. I was asking you to come honestly. Come with your questions. Come with your confusion. Come with your disappointment. Come when your faith feels strong, and come when your faith feels fragile. Come when you understand, and come when you do not. I am not frightened by your questions. I am not threatened by your uncertainty. I already know what is inside you. You have wondered whether you missed your moment. You have looked at other people's lives and thought they moved ahead while yours remained stuck. You have watched opportunities pass and wondered whether you waited too long. You have seen people receive things you prayed for and quietly asked why their answers seemed to arrive before yours. Do not compare your timeline with another person's journey. You do not know what they had to carry to arrive there, and they do not know what I am preparing you to carry. Your life is not late simply because it does not resemble someone else's life. Your delay does not automatically mean denial. Sometimes I slow the process because the person receiving the promise must first become strong enough to carry it without being destroyed by it. There are things you once prayed for that would have overwhelmed the version of you who asked for them. You did not understand why the answer did not come then. Now you can see that you needed maturity, wisdom, healing, discipline, and discernment before certain doors could safely open. That is why I want you to stop looking backward with shame. Look backward with understanding. There were things you lost that protected you. There were opportunities that disappeared because they were not right. There were relationships that ended because continuing them would have cost you more than leaving them. There were seasons where you felt forgotten because you could not see what was being prepared underneath the surface. I was not absent in those seasons. I was working where your eyes could not see. You called it silence. I called it preparation. You called it delay. I called it protection. You called it loss. I was teaching you what you could not learn while everything was comfortable. You called yourself forgotten. I was reminding you that your identity cannot depend on who notices you. There is a deeper work happening inside you now. I am teaching you to recognize peace without needing everyone around you to approve your decision. I am teaching you to recognize truth without requiring applause. I am teaching you to walk away from what looks attractive when it does not produce healthy fruit. You have spent enough time proving yourself. You do not need to convince everyone that you are worthy. You do not need to chase people who continually make you question whether you matter. You do not need to beg for basic respect. There is a difference between humility and self-abandonment. Humility allows you to serve without thinking you are superior. Self-abandonment causes you to disappear so someone else can remain comfortable. I do not want you disappearing. I want you becoming whole. And becoming whole sometimes requires you to disappoint people who benefited from the version of you that had no boundaries. Let that truth settle deeply inside you. Your peace has value. Your time has value. Your attention has value. Your words have value. Your trust has value. Not everyone should receive unlimited access to all of them. This does not mean you become cold. It means you become wise. If someone repeatedly creates chaos in your life, do not keep calling the chaos love simply because you care about the person. If a habit repeatedly destroys your confidence, do not call it harmless simply because it has become familiar. If an environment repeatedly weakens your spirit, do not remain there simply because leaving feels uncomfortable. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to take a step back. You are allowed to protect the peace that took you so long to recover. And when loneliness comes after you create a boundary, do not immediately assume you made the wrong decision. Sometimes loneliness is simply the empty space left behind when something unhealthy has finally been removed. Give that space time. Fill it with healthy things. Fill it with prayer, wisdom, meaningful work, rest, community, and habits that strengthen you. Do not rush to replace what I helped you release. Let the empty space breathe. Let your mind become clear again. Let your heart recover. And remember this, I am not asking you to carry tomorrow today. You only need enough wisdom for the next step. You do not need the entire map. You need willingness to take the next healthy step. If you have experienced a season where you felt forgotten but now understand that delay may have been preparation, write "I trust" in the comments. Let that statement remind you that your past does not have the final word over your future. Take a moment after this message to identify one burden you have been carrying unnecessarily and make the decision to release it instead of rehearsing it again tonight. There is a lesson I want to make very practical for you now, because spiritual growth is not only about what you feel during prayer. It is also about what you do when you return to ordinary life. You can listen to beautiful words for an hour and still return to the same habits that have been exhausting you for years. I do not want this message to become another emotional moment that disappears when tomorrow becomes busy. I want what you hear to become wisdom you practice. Look at your daily life. Look at what you repeatedly give your attention to. Look at the conversations you keep returning to. Look at the people whose approval controls your mood. Look at the things you consume before sleeping. Look at what you do when you become stressed. Look at what you do when you feel rejected. Look at what you do when you become afraid. Because what you repeat quietly becomes the direction of your life. You may think one small habit does not matter, but small habits become patterns, and patterns become paths. The direction of your life is often determined by ordinary choices, repeated when nobody is watching. If you repeatedly react instead of reflecting, you will continue creating decisions from emotion. If you repeatedly ignore discomfort, you will eventually become accustomed to living without peace. If you repeatedly allow people to cross your boundaries, you will eventually forget where your boundaries were. If you repeatedly neglect rest, your body and mind will eventually demand what you refuse to give them willingly. So begin again. Not dramatically, not perfectly. Simply begin. Before answering an upsetting message, pause. Before agreeing to something that makes you uncomfortable, pause. Before trusting someone with information that could later hurt you, pause. Before making a major decision because you are afraid of missing an opportunity, pause. That pause can change your future. You do not need to respond immediately to everything. Not every message requires an instant reply. Not every accusation requires a defense. Not every misunderstanding needs to become an argument. Not every person deserves access to your emotional energy. Sometimes your greatest strength will be your refusal to react. You have spent too much energy trying to make people understand you. There are moments when silence is wiser than explanation. There are moments when distance is wiser than confrontation. There are moments when walking away is wiser than proving a point. Learn the difference. I am not teaching you passivity. I am teaching you self-control. There is power in being able to feel something strongly without allowing that feeling to make every decision for you. Your emotions are real, but they are not always instructions. Your fear is real, but fear does not always tell the truth. Your disappointment is real, but disappointment does not have authority over your future. Your loneliness is real, but loneliness should not choose your relationships. Your excitement is real, but excitement should not replace discernment. Bring your emotions into the light. Examine them. Learn from them. But do not automatically obey every emotion that rises within you. This is where wisdom begins to mature. I also want you to become more careful about what you reveal. You have shared pieces of your heart with people who did not know how to honor them. You trusted because you wanted connection. You opened up because you wanted someone to understand. But not every person deserves every detail of your story. Privacy is not secrecy. Discernment is not paranoia. You can love people without telling them everything. You can be kind without becoming completely exposed. You can forgive someone without giving them the same level of access they previously had. You can wish someone well from a distance. This is maturity. And when your body reacts strongly to certain environments or people, do not immediately dismiss yourself. Pay attention. That does not mean every uncomfortable feeling is supernatural or that every person who makes you nervous is dangerous. It means you should notice your responses and then examine the facts calmly. Ask yourself, what is actually happening? What behavior did you observe? What pattern have you noticed? What changed? What evidence exists? What boundary would create greater peace? This approach keeps you grounded. You do not have to live in suspicion. You can live in awareness and protect your peace from unnecessary noise. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every social media argument deserves your energy. Not every criticism deserves a place in your heart. You have allowed small distractions to become large emotional burdens because you gave them more attention than they deserved. I want you to learn the strength of stepping back. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is close the screen, breathe deeply, become quiet, and return your attention to what actually matters. You need rest. Real rest. Not simply collapsing because you have exhausted yourself. Rest that allows your mind to stop fighting. Rest that gives your heart room to breathe. Rest that reminds you that you are not responsible for controlling everything. You have tried to hold every outcome in your hands. You have believed that if you loosened your grip, everything would fall apart. But you were never designed to control every person, every outcome, every opportunity, or every tomorrow. Do what belongs to you. Release what does not. That is one of the most important forms of peace you can learn. Your responsibility is to make faithful choices. You cannot control whether someone understands you. You cannot control whether someone changes. You cannot control whether every opportunity remains available. You cannot control what another person chooses. But you can control whether you respond with wisdom. You can choose your boundaries. You can choose your habits. You can choose where your attention goes. You can choose whether you keep returning to what continually wounds you. You can choose whether you forgive without returning to the same harmful pattern. You can choose whether you take the next healthy step. That is where your strength lives. My child, I am not asking you to become someone else. I am drawing out the strength that has been inside you through every difficult season. You have survived moments you once believed would destroy you. You came through disappointments that changed you. You endured silence that taught you patience. You experienced rejection that taught you self-respect. You experienced waiting that taught you endurance. Do not waste those lessons by returning to the person you were before you learned them. When the pressure lifts, do not return to the habits that created the pressure. When you finally experience peace, do not become careless with it. When you receive provision, remember discipline. When relationships improve, remember boundaries. When doors open, remember wisdom. When your life becomes easier, remain awake. Because growth is not proven only by surviving the storm. Growth is proven by how you live after the storm. If this message is showing you that you need to protect your peace and become more intentional with your choices, comment, "I choose wisdom." Then choose one practical change today, one boundary, one habit, one conversation you will delay until you are calm, or one distraction you will remove. Do not wait for a perfect tomorrow. Practice wisdom in one small decision today. Now lift your eyes beyond everything you have lost and everything that has disappointed you, because I do not want you to spend the rest of your life staring at an old chapter. There is a time to examine the past, but there is also a time to turn the page. You have learned what you needed to learn from certain seasons, and now I want you to understand that your story is not defined by the hardest thing you have experienced. You have known scarcity. You have known waiting. You have known doors that refused to open. You have known relationships that left you exhausted. You have known moments when you wondered whether your prayers were reaching heaven. But none of those seasons erased your future. I have been teaching you how to walk differently. There are things I am restoring in you before I restore them around you. I am restoring confidence. I am restoring clarity. I am restoring your ability to hope. I am restoring your willingness to believe that tomorrow can be different, without demanding that tomorrow look exactly the way you imagined. You have asked me for provision, and I want you to understand that provision is not always a sudden windfall. Sometimes provision arrives as wisdom that prevents a loss. Sometimes it arrives as an opportunity. Sometimes it arrives as a person who gives the right encouragement at the right time. Sometimes it arrives as the strength to work one more day. Sometimes it arrives as the courage to leave something that was consuming you. Do not limit my provision to one form. I know what you need. I know what your home needs. I know what your heart needs. I know what your future requires. And I can work through ways you did not expect. You have looked at what is in your hands and thought, this is not enough. But remember how I can multiply what seems small. You do not need to despise small beginnings. A small step can become a new direction. A small opportunity can become meaningful work. A small act of obedience can change the course of a life. A small habit can eventually create stability. Do not call something insignificant simply because it is beginning quietly. Some of the greatest changes in your life will begin without applause. You will wake up one morning and realize that something you once struggled with no longer controls you. You will recognize that a person you once chased no longer has power over your emotions. You will notice that you can say no without guilt. You will notice that you can rest without feeling lazy. You will notice that you can wait without panicking. You will notice that you can receive good things without expecting them to disappear immediately. That is restoration too. I am healing the parts of you that learn to expect disappointment. You have sometimes protected yourself from hope because hope made you vulnerable. You told yourself not to expect too much because you were afraid of being hurt again. But do not allow yesterday's pain to become tomorrow's prison. You can be wise and hopeful at the same time. You can be discerning and loving. You can have boundaries and still have a tender heart. You can protect yourself without becoming bitter. You can move forward without pretending the past never happened. Your scars can become reminders of what you survived, instead of chains that determine where you are allowed to go. I am also bringing new connections into your life. Not every person who enters your future will belong there forever, but some people will arrive with genuine encouragement, wisdom, partnership, friendship, and support. You will learn to recognize healthy relationships because they will not constantly require you to abandon yourself. Healthy people can disagree with you without humiliating you. Healthy people can correct you without destroying you. Healthy people can celebrate you without competing with you. Healthy people can respect your boundaries without manipulating you. Healthy people can tell you the truth without making you feel worthless. Learn to recognize that. And when I separate you from certain people, do not always interpret the separation as punishment. Sometimes I am creating room. Sometimes you cannot receive something new because your hands are still gripping what I am asking you to release. Release what has already ended. Release the relationship that exists only in your memories. Release the version of yourself that needed constant approval. Release the shame of the mistake you have already learned from. Release the belief that your best days are behind you. Release the fear that one wrong decision permanently destroyed your future. You are still becoming. There is still growth ahead. There are still opportunities you have not seen. There are still lessons you have not learned. There are still people you have not met. There are still places you have not walked. There are still prayers whose answers are unfolding. Do not allow one closed chapter to convince you there is no next chapter. I am opening your understanding. You will begin seeing connections between things that once seemed random. You will understand why some doors closed. You will understand why some people left. You will understand why certain plans failed. You will recognize that some disappointments redirected you towards something healthier. But do not demand that you understand everything today. Trust can exist before explanation. Sometimes clarity arrives after obedience. Sometimes understanding comes after you take the next step. You want the entire map, but I am often giving you enough light for the next few steps. That is not cruelty. It teaches you dependence, patience, and courage. You do not need to know everything before you move. You need to know the next right thing. Do that, then take another step, then another. That is how a new season is built. And do not forget rest while you are rebuilding. You are not a machine. You are not required to prove your value through exhaustion. Your productivity does not determine your worth. There will be days when the most important thing you accomplish is recovering your strength. There will be moments when saying no creates more progress than saying yes. There will be seasons when quiet preparation is more valuable than public recognition. Do not despise those seasons. I am building something deeper than appearance. I am building stability. I am building wisdom. I am building endurance. I am building discernment. I am building character. And when the opportunity comes, you will not have to pretend you are ready. You will have become ready. If you believe your difficult season has been teaching you rather than destroying you, type "I am ready" in the comments. Then take a practical step toward your new season. Organize something you have neglected. Finish one task you have delayed. Set one healthy boundary, or make one decision you have been avoiding. Let your faith become action. Now listen to me carefully as this message comes toward its close, because I want the final words to remain with you when the room becomes quiet and the ordinary noise of tomorrow begins again. You may still have questions. You may still have circumstances that have not changed. You may still have prayers waiting for answers. You may still look at certain areas of your life and wonder how anything could possibly become different. Do not confuse what you can see with everything that is happening. There are things you cannot see yet. There are changes that begin inside before they appear outside. There are answers that require preparation. There are doors that cannot open until you are ready to walk through them. There are relationships that must end so healthier ones can begin. There are habits that must be broken so your future can have room to grow. And there are parts of you that must become stronger before you can carry what you have been asking for. Do not lose heart because the process is not finished. You are not at the end. You are becoming. Remember what I told you from the beginning. I am not warning you to make you afraid. I am preparing you so that you can move with wisdom. I want you awake, not anxious. I want you discerning, not suspicious. I want you courageous, not reckless. I want you peaceful, not passive. You can walk through uncertainty without surrendering your peace. You can face difficult people without becoming like them. You can experience disappointment without becoming hopeless. You can wait without assuming you have been forgotten. You can receive correction without believing you are worthless. You can create boundaries without becoming bitter. You can move forward without knowing every detail of the road. This is the strength I have been building inside you. You once believed strength meant never crying. Now you are learning that strength can mean admitting that you need help. You once believed faith meant never having questions. Now you understand that faith can remain even while questions exist. You once believed waiting meant nothing was happening. Now you understand that some of the deepest work happens when you cannot see immediate results. You once believed rejection meant you were not enough. Now you are learning that rejection can redirect you toward what actually fits your purpose. You once believed closed doors meant failure. Now you can recognize that some closed doors protected your future. This is growth, and I want you to carry this wisdom into tomorrow. When someone pressures you, pause. When something feels confusing, investigate. When you are tempted to react, breathe. When you feel exhausted, rest. When you recognize an unhealthy pattern, interrupt it. When a relationship repeatedly steals your peace, establish a boundary. When an opportunity appears, examine it before rushing. When you make a mistake, learn instead of condemning yourself. When you receive something good, enjoy it without guilt. When you experience delay, remember that delay does not automatically mean abandonment. When you feel alone, remember that being unseen by people does not mean being unseen by me. When you cry, remember that your tears are not proof that you are weak. When you need to start again, start again. You do not have to carry yesterday into every tomorrow. There is a moment when you must stop rehearsing what happened and begin practicing what you have learned. That moment is now. You cannot change the person who hurt you, but you can change how much access that person has to your peace. You cannot rewrite the past, but you can decide what the past will teach you. You cannot force someone to value you, but you can stop using their lack of appreciation as evidence that you have no value. You cannot control every outcome, but you can choose wise actions. You cannot make every door open, but you can stop exhausting yourself pounding on doors that were never meant to open. You cannot know every detail of tomorrow, but you can walk into tomorrow with faith, wisdom, and courage. And when you wake up, remember this message. Do not immediately return to the old rhythm that kept you exhausted. Do not allow tomorrow's noise to erase today's understanding. Before the day becomes crowded, give yourself a moment of stillness. Ask yourself what truly matters. Ask what deserves your attention. Ask what needs to be released. Ask what needs to be protected. Ask what needs to be changed. Then take one step. You do not need to transform everything in a single morning. One wise decision can begin a new pattern. One boundary can protect your peace. One honest conversation can bring clarity. One disciplined habit can change your direction. One prayer can reconnect your heart with hope. One act of courage can open a path you were too afraid to walk before. Do not underestimate small beginnings. The life you want may be built through ordinary decisions, repeated with faithfulness. And when good things begin appearing, remember where you came from. Remember the nights when you thought you would never feel peace again. Remember the seasons when you wondered whether anything was changing. Remember the times you had almost given up. Not so. You remain trapped in the past, but so you appreciate what restoration means. You will one day look back and realize that the season you wanted to escape taught you how to stand. The waiting taught you patience. The rejection taught you discernment. The silence taught you to listen. The loss taught you what truly matters. The loneliness taught you that your worth cannot depend on constant company. The struggle taught you that you are stronger than you thought, and the restoration will teach you gratitude. My child, you are not walking into tomorrow alone. I go before you into places you have never been. I remain beside you in decisions you do not yet understand. I remain behind you, covering what you cannot see coming. You do not need to know everything to trust me with the next step. I want you to stop asking, what if everything goes wrong? Begin asking, what if I become wiser through whatever comes? Stop asking only, when will everything change? Begin asking, what can I practice today that will prepare me for the change I am praying for? Stop asking, why did this happen to me? Also ask, what can this teach me? Those questions will change the way you walk. You are not powerless. You have choices. You have influence over your habits, your boundaries, your responses, your attention, and your direction. Walk forward with open eyes. Do not be controlled by fear. Do not be controlled by pressure. Do not be controlled by other people's expectations. Do not be controlled by your past. Let wisdom guide you. Let peace become valuable to you. Let truth become more important than appearances. Let character become more important than promises. Let patience become stronger than impulse. Let faith become stronger than fear. And when you cannot see the whole road, take the next right step. That is enough for today. You do not need tomorrow's strength today. You need today's strength for today's decision. And tomorrow, when tomorrow arrives, there will be grace for that day too. So breathe. Release what is too heavy. Protect what is precious. Learn what this season is teaching you. Walk away from what continually destroys your peace. Receive what is healthy. Build what is lasting. Rest when you need to rest. Work when it is time to work. Speak when truth needs to be spoken. Remain silent when silence is wiser. Forgive without surrendering wisdom. Love without abandoning boundaries. Hope without ignoring reality. And trust that your story is still unfolding. If this message spoke directly to your heart, and you are choosing to walk forward with faith instead of fear, comment, "I will move forward." Let those words become your personal declaration. And when you face a difficult decision this week, remember what you heard here. Pause, observe, pray, think, and then choose what leads you toward truth, peace, wisdom, and growth. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. You are not disqualified because you struggled. You are not behind simply because your journey looks different. You are learning. You are healing. You are becoming wiser. And there is still more ahead. Carry these words with you. Let them become action, not merely emotion. Let your life show what you have learned. Let your choices become evidence that the difficult season did not destroy you. It strengthened you. And when you look back one day, you will recognize that the turning point was not necessarily the moment everything outside of you changed. It was the moment you stopped living blindly and began walking with wisdom. If this message encouraged you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope, wisdom, and strength today. And if these words have blessed you and you want to support this ministry, you can use the support link provided below. Keep walking in faith, keep protecting your peace, keep choosing wisdom, and keep moving forward. Your story is still unfolding.